Over the last month now, I've been working on designing my very own end update for Minecraft, and this is episode 3 in that series. If you haven't seen the first 2 episodes, I highly recommend you check those out as well. They will be linked in the description below. Anyways, let's check out everything I've changed today. If you remember from the last 2 episodes, we are just about to finish up with the first new biome I added to the end, but I wanted to make a few small changes before completely moving on from it. I made it to where you can make crafting tables out of the corrupt wood you get from the trees. I also made it to where you can make furnaces out of the scorched end stone you find in the caves. Both of these additions make the end a little more livable. Speaking of making things livable, I made it to where the end rabbit now drops end rabbit meat, which I know, I really had to pull a lot of energy from the naming department to come up with that. You can cook this meat in the furnace to get cooked end rabbit meat. Looking back on my acronym from the last episodes, you'll remember that I skipped over the middle step for this biome, new rewards, because I really didn't have any good ideas, and, well, I still don't really have any good ideas. The only thing I managed to come up with this new shield design, which I think looks kinda cool. You can craft it with the corrupt wood, and it really doesn't do anything different from a regular shield. It just looks different. So anyways, with that, I have now completed my first new biome to the end. Now it's time to start working on the next new biome. I went back to my acronym to start designing this new biome, but I first wanted to have a general idea of what I was going to make. I wanted to have a more barren, open area this time around that had pools of dangerous lava in it. So with that in mind, I started designing the ecosystem for this new biome. My first step was covering the entire area you see here with the scorched end stone, because I like how it looks. I then began adding the lava pools all over the biome. I also had retextured the lava to be more pinkish so that it would match my primary color of purple for this biome. I promise I'll branch out from purple being my primary color one of these days, but today was not going to be that day. I also added a river of lava that flowed across the island, and I really like how it turned out. The biome was already looking really cool, but I was just getting started. At one of the ends of the river, I dug into the side of the island and started to design out a cave for this biome. I wanted the caves in the end to be unique to the ones in the overworld, so I decided to make the caves vertical. These caves stretch all the way to the bottom of the island and can be quite dangerous to traverse because of the hole at the bottom of them. These caves are made up of mostly end stone, but you can also find the scorched end stone on the walls, as well as another new block, which I call the sticky end block. Yet again, the naming department is doing so good in this episode. These blocks act just like honey blocks and prevent you from jumping or running on top of them. But they also can be useful for getting around these caves. You can slide down the side of them and land on the ground without taking any damage. For now, I was happy with the cave design, but I will come back to it later in this video. While the biome was starting to look cool, it felt dead, so I decided to add a new mob to the area. The last biome had 3 new mobs, but none of which were hostile, so I decided to make a hostile mob for this biome. I call it the End Slime. At this point, we should just be handing a trophy over to the naming team. They're basically just a retextured slime, but I feel like they fit the biome well. I also was able to fix my problem I had last episode where I couldn't upload any behavior packs into my world, so I scripted out some code for this new mob to make it a little more difficult to fight. I made the largest version of it move slightly faster than normal. I then made the next size down move even faster, and the smallest size move even faster than that. Basically, the smaller it got, the faster it would go. Also, you can use the slime balls they drop to craft the sticky end blocks. Last episode, I added end rams into the game, and I had scripted out code for it, but wasn't able to add it to the game to show it off. But now that that issue was fixed, I can show you the cool code that I added. As you probably know, goats in Minecraft have a ram attack that sends you flying back 10 blocks or so, and I wanted to make this attack send you flying a little farther. I also wanted you to fling upwards some as well so that the mob would be dangerous to be around for too long. I loaded the script into the world, and this is my first test of the code. Yeah. The number I put on for the power of the hit was way too much, as you can tell. And while I'm obviously going to fix this, I also realized I wanted to mess around with this some more, and see what the limit of the ram attacks are. So here is me spending 3 hours literally just testing code I wrote for goats. So after a lot of testing, I finally got the launch distance set at a reasonable value. I also made the end rams more aggressive, so they'll attempt to headbutt you much more than normal goats. Things were looking a lot nicer with the new mob in the biome, but I also wanted to add a new plant as well. So I retextured bamboo, and I also designed a new block for them to grow on, just so every block wouldn't be purple. So I first laid out this new block around the lava lakes, and then I placed the bamboo on top of those blocks. I ended up with something that looks like this, which I was happy with. I then did the same thing to the river, and it also turned out pretty cool. I would say for now, the ecosystem was looking pretty good. I decided to move on to the next step of the acronym for now, new rewards. The first idea that comes to mind was adding a new ore that you can find inside of the vertical caves. This new ore would only spawn at the bottom of the caves, right near the open hole at the bottom. I named this new ore Enderite. The ore itself is inside of the scorched endstone and has a blue color to it. When you mine the ore, it'll drop raw Enderite, which has a mix of blue and purple. If you throw this into a furnace, it'll come out as an Enderite ingot, which I personally think looks very cool. You can use these new ingots to craft a new set of tools. Right now these tools aren't any different than regular tools, but I hope to change that in the future. I'm also planning on adding even more functionality for Enderite, but for now, I'm leaving it where it is. I was happy with the new rewards you could get in the biome, so I moved on to the last step in the acronym, discoveries. Now, obviously I already added the vertical caves into the biome, which is a new discovery, but I also decided to add branches off of these caves that lead to dungeons, kind of like the ones you can find in the overworld. I retextured a few blocks to add to these dungeons, such as twisted vines and pointed dripstone. I placed these around the dungeon, and it really helped increase the atmosphere of the area. These dungeons have mob spawners in the center that spawn the end slimes, as well as having chests in them that have fairly good loot. They can be quite dangerous though, seeing as the center of the area is only a platform, and if you get knocked off by the end slimes, you could fall into the void and lose everything. And that is all I added during this episode. In the next episode, I'm going to add a few finishing touches to this biome and begin working on creating a brand new structure, maybe even updating an old structure. If you want to see that, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it, and leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. And with that, I'll see you all next time.